All right, fight fans, listen, we all saw one of the most historic fights at MSG last week, and we ran into our guy, Barstool's own Large in the arena, but he's with us now. We're going to talk about the fight. I'm hearing he lost some money. We need to find out about it. Large, what's up, brother?
How you guys doing? What's going on? How are you?
Good, thank you. I mean, we're warming up, getting ready for hot Vegas, but I mean, that garden was steaming on Saturday. Large, first off, is it true? Did you lose a little bit of bread on Amanda Serrano?
I tell you, I had both of them in, and then I had Amanda by decision. I never took the bet out. I never, went against it. I had Amanda by decision, so I lost a little bit of money. Always bet responsibly, but I lost a little bit of money. But I got to tell you, when I spoke to Katie like 2 days beforehand, and she like dead-eyed me, she doesn't have a ton like of screwing around in her. And she was like, Amanda Serrano has nothing I haven't already seen. I was like, whoa, talk that. But then all of a sudden the fifth round came around. I was like, how about that? She threw something you probably haven't seen. But then, she finished strong. At first I had a little problem with the decision. I went back and I watched a couple of rounds and stuff. So I could see I had it as a draw, probably a generous draw. And but I could see both sides. And now, I mean, if we get a part two in Ireland, I mean, I'm a happy man, right?
She might have been right. You know what I mean? Because if you add up certain qualities from all her other opponents, then maybe she didn't have anything she didn't see. But when you watch it again, or when you count rounds rather, did you have Katie Taylor winning, counting rounds?
No. And yeah. I mean, that's where I had the draw. When I rewatched it, I gave the first round to Katie. Like I start to keep score during the fight, and then I just throw it out the window. Yes. After I just get into it. I don't have that focus to do it. And but then when I rewatched it, I wound up giving her the first round, and that's what got me to the draw. So that's how close of a fight it is. When you dominate rounds, it's still 10-9, right? Unless there's a knockdown. So I think,
or unless it's really that bad.
Yeah.
I think one of the judges gave her a 10-8 from that fifth round.
Yeah. So so I'm not as vocal as being disappointed with the decision. I like money, so I don't like losing it, but otherwise I harbor no animosity. And I think it's going to be an interesting second fight that could go, either way. An Irish crowd, by the way, the Irish were out, huh?
Oh my God. I've never heard the crowd like that ever. And I've been to Cotto fights, so that was the biggest crowd I've ever heard at Madison Square Garden.
Speaking of that fifth round, Large, one thing that people were talking about leading up to this fight was that Amanda wanted 3-minute rounds, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked to Katie, we spent some time in Connecticut with her, and she openly said, hey, you want me to fight an extra round? How about some extra money? She needs to get paid more for that. But obviously, if that fifth round was a 3-minute round, that fight probably ends in that fifth round. So we see where Amanda's head was at. Maybe she's thinking, man, I need those 3 minutes to break my opponents down. How do you feel about 3-minute rounds for women?
I don't like it. Like, I'm okay with 2-minute rounds for women. I'm okay with having a different mindset, not calling knockouts as much, because I know we're only going to get 20 minutes of fight with, 10 rounds instead of 12, and 3 minutes. It's 2 minutes instead of 3. I don't mind having that differentiation. And I got to be honest with you, if she would have came to me and if I was Katie Taylor, I would have probably told her the same exact thing. This is what I grew up doing. This is how I know how to fight. I'm not changing it now on the biggest stage, biggest event of my life. So, hey, the way that fight zipped by and the amount of action that they gave us for those 20 minutes, I got no problems. But you're right. I don't see her making out of it a fifth round with that. I don't see one of them making it out of the 10th round either. I mean, we saw a lot of buckling there at the end and whatnot. So it is a totally different complexion, but that's what female boxing is, right? There is a differentiation. So, WNBA doesn't use a bigger ball and women fight for 2 minutes. I'm okay with it.
Well, with that type of fight, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't mind an extra 10 minutes of that.
Yeah, or an extra 2 rounds.
3-minute rounds would have been good. But look, people are already out there talking about, who's next? I've heard some stuff about Cyborg or some other folks. I mean, there's no other fight that should be taking place but a rematch with Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for the mandatories. Like always when they get stuck behind this thing like a trilogy and you're just waiting for your shot, but you got to see something like this. But I think history comes first. There's a lot of mandatories who get pushed off for rematches that shouldn't happen. that I'm like, oof, do I got to pay to see this thing again? You know, but this one should. So, you know, as much as it breaks my heart, if you've been waiting in line for a belt and stuff like that, you know, history does take precedence here, particularly if they just knock the roof off of Madison Square Garden, which they did. And then they go and they knock the roof off of, name the place, on Crow Park in Dublin. You know what I mean? And you know, we get some Boricuas over there, like we had some Irish people here. I mean, it's going to be an interesting, because a lot of those people just got off of flights. They didn't all just come from Hell's Kitchen. So it was like, it was very, very interesting. I really, really got a kick out of the crowd this time, more so than some of the other crowds that I've been with. Like you hit the nail on the head. Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend, with Miguel Cotto in there, everybody wearing the headbands. That's special. That's special. And I think these girls have the opportunity to draw special crowds both in the arena and outside watching at home.
Definitely. And I definitely agree with you 100%. Like, this was just an epic moment. But let's switch gears to another epic moment in the making, because Canelo's moving up to 175 pounds. I don't know why people take this particular opponent lightly, but Canelo versus Bivol. Is it as easy as people are saying? Like, oh, Canelo's going to beat this guy and move on.
I don't know where people get off saying that. Like, I mean, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, the three of us. I think this is a top 3 fight for Canelo. But, you know, and I think Bivol has everything that it takes to finally shut Canelo up when he keeps saying size doesn't matter to me. I think he might be the guy that, you know, this isn't Crusher Kovalev, who took it to 11, who took Canelo out to deep waters. This isn't Crusher Kovalev. And I mean, I know he doesn't have the experience of Crusher either, but this guy is stone cold. And I still like Canelo in this fight, and partially because they got a man crush on him. But man, this is one that I would have told him not to goddamn take. You know, the next one's the one that's kind of, you know, easy if he gets by this, you know, if we talk about a 40-year-old Triple G. But this kid here, I think, is spooky with some straight punches going right down Main Street. It's going to be a frustrating night for Canelo, at least for the first couple of rounds.
No, I agree, it's super dangerous, but it's so difficult to go against a guy like Canelo right now at the level that he's fighting. Just think about it. We talk about the opposition, level of opposition. You got to consider that when it comes to Bivol. Now, yes, he had a tough fight with Joe Smith. He won clearly, almost got knocked out late in that fight. I mean, we can't say the guy's mixed it up with any greats, with any elite fighters yet. So I'm putting that into play into this fight and the level that Canelo is fighting right now. So, I mean, are you going to put some money up for that one?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm probably going to do more than money. Like I did a couple of pieces of content with Canelo beforehand. They'll drop next week. The one where I was in the ring, the one where I was out. I played some golf with them and stuff like that. I'm bragging here a little bit. So I'm going to bet somebody a tattoo. I mean, you know, I don't like, maybe, like, you know, I get a Mexican flag on my.
Now, how about, would you get the Canelo Alvarez logo somewhere?
My only problem is
he already has that already.
Yes, that's how I got it. That's my price of admission. No, my problem is that I'm gonna have to get a picture of Dimitri Bivol on my bicep. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. How about Barstool though, being so heavily involved in this one? You got Dave and Dan doing, I guess, an alternate feed. Are they calling the fight? Talk a little about that. Like, what is Barstool actually doing that night?
I'm terrified. So I'm going in. I'm doing all the fight week stuff, boots on the ground. I'm doing 3 branded content things leading up. Again, like, you know, the buddy.
Right.
Then fight day, Saturday, I'm doing the pre-show. So DAZN will have an alternate feed, you know, anything, English, Spanish, or the Barstool difference or something they're going to put it, where they'll do a picture-in-picture and have the desk up. So I'll be doing the pre-show with Dan. And then once the fights start, the 4 on the main card, Dan, Dave, El Presidente, and then Robbie, the 3 guys who do Rough and Rowdy, have done like 12 Rough and Rowdies together.
Right.
We'll have to do all 4 fights, commentary for all 4 fights, which we know is substantial. It's a substantial undertaking, but these guys have they have a lot of experience together. They all have great personalities. They're all boxing fans. So I'm looking forward to it. It's huge. It's huge that the platform that they're given for this goofy little thing that I work for, which is now no longer that I started working for, which is now no longer a goofy little thing. And I am happy as hell because I'm boxing there. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? So this is me. And And so it's been good. It's been a really good time of year for me. And we happen to have been stacking it with great fights.
But those two dudes are boxing fans, but they don't know boxing like you, Lord. So do you coach them sometimes like, hey, maybe don't say that, or maybe you should look into this? Like, do you help them out a little bit?
I got to tell you guys both. I talk about throwing a little bit of dough on responsibly. Again, Dave's responsible bets are bigger than mine. So all of a sudden, if I'm like, listen, I think, Big Bang Zhang will take the over on 3 rounds. And all of a sudden, he'll just throw like 200 grand on it. I don't need that. I don't need that in my kitchen. Yeah. So I'll write up some preview stuff for them, and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to it, I don't know how much the sports book's going to be involved. Right. But I have to be very careful, because if he loses a couple of $100 because I say that Montana loves getting a little too cocky with the French Bulldog, then that's it. That's the end of my career. So I'm treading lightly. But it's going to be a lot different. And boxing purists will hate it. That's not why they brought us in. And Barstool isn't trying to grab Dazon's viewership. Dazn wants these goofy, casual type guys coming in and having some fun with it. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to have some fun with it.
Well, I never heard of that. Goofy casual. I like that. All right. But you said something that, kind of surprised me. You said the next one would be relatively easy. And you're talking about Triple G if Canelo's able to get past Bivol. But do you really think he's easy? I know he's old. He's 40 years old. He's still stopping people. And he kind of knows Canelo better than everybody else and had those close fights. Not probably because he wasn't young then either, but he just, he's that caliber of fighter. You think it'll be that easy?
That 37, right? That inflection point at 37 that some people are able to blow through like Pacquiao is what scares me. So to have a guy who's 40 and to see the amount of time that he spent in the ring and to see what he was when everybody, blue jeans, big drama show, come get me, like that whole thing when he first got in, he was a downright assassin. And then
that was a different level of opponent stuff, because as soon as he stepped it up to Daniel Jacobs, that assassin went out the window.
Right. And now he's going into a ring, hopefully, against a guy who has only gotten better since their last fight. Good point. If those fights were close, right? If those fights were close, and they were, and those were disputed, one guy got better and one guy's gotten worse. I have to, and I love Triple G. Kiss him on the mouth.
I know.
Nice.
Oh God.
Yeah. But I'm just
tattoo on my butt type of love. That's right.
yeah. So that's where I'm going. Kazakh flag. But I think just one of them got better and one of them got worse. So and it's pretty clear to see. So I would be shocked. But
with all that being said, I mean, we all know what happened with Floyd and Canelo. But outside of that, he hasn't been in that type of competitive fight. So you still have to think, all right, that's still Canelo's toughest test. At least history has shown us that. So would you say Bivol is going to be much more difficult than a Triple G in September?
Yeah. So I sometimes give up experience for the physicality that you get with youth, right? There's a balance to it. And then if you add in comfort at 175, listen, Canelo walks around at 185. So to get to 175 is cool. Bivol, I mean, if he, when he weighs and then rehydrates, he's a natural monster at that size. So I think the size is in Bivol's corner. I think I don't like Bivol in this fight. I don't. I'm just saying that it's a very dangerous fight for Canelo. And I feel much more confident with Canelo's chances against Triple G than I do against Dimitri Bivol. I find it to be a little bit more of a captivating fight. So that's that. I mean, Bivol versus Triple G would be a fantastic fight if we could find, some sort of weight on that. And you guys know I like to put together, weirdo fights and stuff. So, but yeah, so that's it. So I like this kid's youth. I like his punching power, and I like where he's at the weight. Like Triple G is going to be coming up in weight to fight Canelo too. Does he lose? He can't lose any kind of speed, right? He's screwed if he does. So a lot to look at.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, I can't wait, man. We'll see you, I guess, in a couple of days in Las Vegas. Looking forward to having some fun, man. Thanks as always, Larch. See you soon.
Thank you, guys. I'll be the sweaty guy in the corner.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man.